What's up, y'all? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and baby, let's get into the drama of it all because we got a few things to talk about. So let's get into it. All right, y'all. So let's talk about it. So first up, let's talk about Bravo's newest show, Next Gen NYC. Now, I wasn't going to talk about this show because I don't really have any interest in watching it. I probably will give the first episode a chance, but nobody on the show excites me. LOL. But you can definitely tell that Bravo is trying to tap into a younger demographic because I think the age range is between 22 to like 35. And I could be wrong, but one of the ladies on here look a mean 30, maybe 36 years old, okay? So let's go through the cast. So you have Ariana Beardman. She's Kim Zolciak's daughter from Real Housewives of Atlanta. She's 23 years old. Then you have Riley Burrs. She is Candy Burrs' daughter. Riley is 22 years old and the youngest on the cast. Then you have Giudice, Teresa Giudice's oldest daughter. She's 24. Then you have Meredith Marks. Not Meredith Marks, Brooks Marks, Meredith Marks' son, who I think is the middle child. He's 24 years old. I think we're also going to see his sister Chloe, and I think Chloe's 22 years old. So those are the Bravo kids. Ariana, Riley, Brooks, and Gia. So then they filtered in other people as well. So you have Ava Dash, Damon Dash's daughter. Then you have Ariana's boyfriend, her on again, off again boyfriend, Hudson. He is 23 years old. Then you have Georgia McCannon. I tried to look up her age, couldn't find anything, but she's given that she's a lady of a particular age, but it just might be the harsh makeup that they have on her. But I'm guessing she might be in her 30s or late 20s. Then you have this guy named Shia. I think it's Futcher. I think I'm saying that so wrong, but I couldn't find any information on him either. But he looks like he's probably like maybe 23, 24. And then you have the two oldest people confirmed, which is Charlie. Charlie, I think is Zucker or Zakura. He's 30 years old. He's known for like private investing in crypto, but he's been in the club since he was 14 years old. Crazy. And then you have Amara De Spain. She is known for being the first Black trans model to be a part of Victoria's Secrets. She's 28 and she's also like a beauty influencer. So, I mean, that's the cast, with the youngest being Riley, who's 22 years old, and the oldest for right now being Charlie, because his confirmed age is 30, but Georgia might be older than him. I think I said Ava's age, but if I didn't, Ava, Damon Dash's daughter, she's 25. So it's interesting, but I don't know. The only reason why I brought this to you is pretty much Mr. Ray was calling NBC Universal out for using his idea. And if you don't know who Mr. Ray is, most people know him from Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, as well as like his first appearance on TV was on College Hill, one of the iterations of College Hill. But he said this on Friday. He said, I was going to sit quiet, but not too much. Pitched my project Next Gen Hollywood to NBC June 2024. They passed saying they had Making It in Manhattan. Now here comes Next Gen NYC after having my deck and trying to reach my talent. Hollywood is cute, LOL. So basically they bit off of his whole entire concept, because I do remember they were supposed to call this show Making It in Manhattan, but I guess they decided to call it Next Gen. But I feel like the lineup that Mr. Ray had was way better and would make more sense why his show was called Next Gen versus this show being Next Gen. I think they should have kept Making It in Manhattan, because Mr. Ray also attached what his lineup would have been. So you got Brandy's daughter, LL Cool J's daughter, T-Boz's daughter, one of Shaq's daughters, Niecy Nash, one of her daughters, Ty Dollar Sign's daughter. I don't know who this lady is, but she looks familiar, and I think she is a rapper from the 80s. Her daughter, as well as Mike Epps' daughter. That gives next generation, because all of these people who are a part of this group are either actors, comedians, or musicians and artists. So that makes sense why his show would have been called Next Generation. When you look at this one, I guess because you have like the Bravo kids, they could be the next generation of reality TV. But I feel like making it in Manhattan would have gave it its own identity, and calling it next gen, I think some people will be expecting housewives type of drama, which probably won't happen. You might have a few of them who get spicy with each other, but I don't think anybody is going to go overboard, if you know what I mean. But you can definitely tell why they probably passed on Mr. Ray's concept. Is too black. And they probably were like, no, we need a cast that can reach all facets. And that normally means make it white. And that's what they did. Because the only visibly black person you have is Riley. I know Amara and Ava are mixed, and that's it. But that's what they did, make it white, and that's why. But I do think it's messed up that they took his idea, or took his name and his idea and didn't give him credit, you know. But let's move on. So let's talk about Bethenny versus Gia. So when everybody found out about the tax issues that Teresa, well, mainly Louis is having because he owes the IRS $2.6 million, I talked about that in one of my the drama videos. Check the playlist, okay? Well, Gia has a podcast on iHeartRadio, and she talked about the situation. She also called out Bethenny Frankel. So if you don't know, Bethenny has a TikTok, and when I tell you that lady be in her bathrobe just running her mouth, okay? Well, she talked about this situation as well, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically she said that like Teresa sure can pick them, like her picker is wrong. Basically, like, girl, you just got out of a bad situation financially. Why did you get right back in another one? And just going off on Teresa. So Gia said this on her podcast. She said, Bethenny Frankel, thank you so much for your sweet video. You are a mother with a daughter. I bet you wouldn't like it if somebody was saying that this about you. I hope that $1,000 TikTok paycheck was really worth it. So that's what Gia said. Well, Bethenny didn't like that, and I guess somebody told her what she said. Girl, when I tell you Bethenny read Gia and her mama for filth, I said, dang, was it that deep? So this is what Bethenny says. She says, I made my first million before I even knew who Giudice was. So forgive me if I'm not taking financial lessons from the daughter of a walking tax case study. When your mom and stepdad owe nearly $3 million to the IRS, the smartest move might be to stay quiet, or at the very least, don't go online teaching others how to manage their money. I don't have a PhD in economics, but I do have a multi-million dollar company, clean finances, and a good sense to call a lawyer before I call a stylist. If Gia ever needs a mentor, I'm available as long as she brings a calculator and a actual tax return. I said, dang. Like, I ain't gonna lie, she gagged me because I said, she got me when she said the clean finances part. And then she was like, as long as she bring a calculator and an actual tax return. While I was reading it, I said, Anna, ooh, I said, dang. Well, there was a large fraction of people that felt like Bethenny went too far, and that it was like, girl, Gia's response wasn't that deep for you to go this far. So do y'all remember Anna Conquisos? She was on Real Housewives of Miami before the reboot, but they didn't ask her to come back. She got into it with Marisol and Alexia. We saw her last season of Real Housewives of Miami at Nicole's like Mother's Day brunch, and it got active and all of that stuff at the brunch. Well, she hopped online to get out her thoughts, and she said this: there's something deeply unsettling about watching grown women with enormous platforms use them to belittle young women who are simply defending their family. Gia Giudice didn't claim to be a financial expert. She wasn't giving a TED talk on taxes. She was standing up for her mom, something most daughters would do without hesitation. Should she have addressed it on her podcast? Maybe not. But she was responding to what she saw as attack on her family. That kind of loyalty doesn't require a calculator, it requires a heart. So Anna continued by saying, and yet instead of extending grace or perspective, we saw the usual, a public takedown disguised as mentorship, cruelty repackaged as candor, and another opportunity to remind the world how impressive she is. Yes, we know you built an empire, you've made money, launched products, and even tried to spearhead a movement for exploiting reality stars. Your reality reckoning started with the subtlety of a freight train and ended with the impact of a damped towel. Now that's a read. That's a read right there. She continued by saying, now, before the inevitable response, I know what she'll say. She doesn't know who that I was on Housewives for 5 minutes, that I have a cheater brand, that I am just jealous or irrelevant or grasping for attention. But that's the script. It's always the script. Anyone who disagrees is dismissed, diminished, and discredited, usually with a side of resume recitation, and a TikTok in a bathrobe. But here's the thing, true power doesn't come from reminding everyone how powerful you are. It comes from knowing when to show compassion instead of condescension. And right now, the next generation of women doesn't need to be mentored with mockery. They need to be seen, supported, and spoken to with respect. So here's the thing. I think Bethenny did way too much, mainly because, like, girl, you started it. You spoke ill about that girl's mom. Now, am I a fan of Teresa? Not really, but I don't think there's anything wrong for Gia to speak out against somebody that she feels like is attacking her mom. And her response to Bethenny, to me, was very, very, very tamed. Okay, like she basically said, "Girl, you wouldn't like it if your daughter probably wouldn't like it if people were saying negative things about you." And you running that mouth for a $1,000 check on TikTok. I hope it was worth it. That's it. And you came back reading her like that. You had that sitting in the chamber, girl, for that girl. And although I don't really see it for Anna either, because I don't really see it for Teresa, Bethenny, or Anna, and I'm pretty much indifferent to Gia. But Anna had a point, and she gagged me when she said, girl, the reality reckoning started with the subtlety of a freight train and ended with the impact of a damp towel. I said, ooh, girl, get her. But she had a point. You are being condescending, speaking downly, like down to this girl, and then gonna say, I'll be your mentor. Like, that was rude. That was disrespectful. But I also feel like people are going to have to accept that now that Gia is on a reality show, she's fair game. Like, you're now an adult, you're 24 years old, like, it's fair game. You start talking slick, you have to be prepared for these adults that are going to feel like you are fair game. And who cares if your mom's Teresa Giudice and one of the favorites down at NBC Universal at Bravo. So I'm hoping she starts to, practice her reading, because the girls are going to come for her if she comes for them. So let's move on and talk about Candiace. So it looks like Candiace has something going on with NBC Universal. So she posted a what's it called? A boomerang of herself down at the headquarters, and then several pictures behind it. And girl, when I tell you, Real Housewives kind of like the Twitter space and Instagram kind of erupted, because a lot of people are taking this as Candiace's confirmation that she's coming back for Real Housewives of Potomac. But I don't think so. Okay. Because this is what her statement was. It says, always a treat and a pleasure when I get to see my at NBC Universal fam. Me and these thick thighs had a time. So she says, hashtag thick thighs save lives. Hashtag new moms. I don't know what Candiace is saying with all these hashtags. She came from Jesus. Vote, blah, blah, blah. Deep space. Yeah, I don't think she put hashtag RHOP. But I feel like this is not a confirmation that she's coming back unless she says she's coming back. Maybe she might be doing like a spin-off show or doing something else, because Candiace has been featured in a few pilots, as well as she's on that BET show called Hush. But I will be surprised if she goes back, because I'm like, girl, you're going to have to put up with Giselle. And Giselle is not going to fake being nice with you the way she does with Wendy. Okay, but maybe they think they need Candiace now that Mia seems to be moved down to Atlanta and she's not coming back, and Karen is in jail. You know, there's open spots, but I don't know. I feel like I'm not going to take this as her coming back, but it was nice to see that she still is in a good relationship with them. So the door is always open. So the last thing we're going to talk about is Bronwyn. Now, here lately, maybe like since February, no, I feel like in the middle of March, I started seeing all this information being posted on like several blogs that I frequent, like Bravo Snark Side. I saw something on All True Tea, and then I saw like several different accounts on Twitter talking about this. But allegedly, y'all, it looked like Bronwyn might have been linked to some identity fraud back in like 2021. And girl, I don't know what's going on with the girls getting on TV and being linked to thievery. Okay. Well, I've kind of paid that information dust, because I was like, there's no like credible websites, like, news articles or, entertainment pages like US Weekly, Entertainment Tonight, or like OK Magazine. None of them were really talking about it. So I was just like, maybe I shouldn't. But I found out, y'all, TMZ and OK Magazine done posted an article. So we gonna read it. All right, y'all. So y'all know the link will be in the description box below. This is from OK Magazine, and it says this: RHOSLC star Bronwyn Newport arrives late to the cash trip amid identity fraud allegations. It says filming is underway for Real Housewives of Salt Lake City 6th season, and an insider close to production shared a juicy tidbit from the trip the cast is currently on. It says the cast is taping their trip in the Caribbean. A source dishes exclusively to OK. According to the insider, Bronwyn Newport showed up late to the cast trip due to all the heat she's been receiving around her alleged identity theft. It says YouTuber vlogger Dana Bowling, who hosts Daily Dose of Dana, covered the alleged incident that resurfaced online within the last month. It goes on to say, Bowling, who noted she's not sure if this is true, revealed at Bravo_Boo on Instagram, posted Bronwyn from the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, otherwise known as Bronwyn Allison Newport Bradley. Apparently, she goes by both Bradley and Newport, charged with identity theft and grand theft in 2021. Both are felony charges. She said the Instagram account was searching for a mugshot for the alleged incident, which took place in San Francisco, but hasn't found one. I have no idea if this is true or not, Bowling shared, but when I messaged someone that I know who is also kind of deep diving a lot of this Bronwyn stuff, I did say, hey, did you hear about this? She said they responded by saying no, but they were DM'd about a fraud charge in 2018 that resulted in her being fired from her finance job. Bronwyn, girl, I said, while Bowling said she liked her on the show initially, she eventually started to see something about Newport that just seemed fake. There's just something about Bronwyn that just always feels incredibly disingenuous to me, Bowling added. It always came off very fake to me and I couldn't compute it. She stated she's also seeing other lawsuits and other charges related to Newport that she's unsure if they're true or not. While starring on season 5, which was her first season on the show, Newport revealed husband Todd Bradley previously cheated on her. So I'm going to stop here because the rest of the article is them rehashing what happened season 5, where Bronwyn reveals Gwen catching Todd on the iPad talking to some lady. But they also noted that to date, Newport has not commented on these allegations regarding her past. So y'all, this some shenanigans. And I told y'all something about that lady wasn't right. And y'all was trying to tell me, no, Leah, you not seeing. Now, I saw something. I saw something. I know when I see fraudulent stuff and fraud activity, okay? But I am interested. This gets me excited for season 6 of Salt Lake City, and mainly because I want to know how this information is being brought on the show. Like, who was the one to bring it up? Was it Heather? Was it Whitney? Was it Lisa? Was it Angie? Was it Angie? I don't see Mary or Meredith really bringing this information up because they seem to be cool with Bronwyn. What about Brittany? I don't know if Brittany would do something like this. Maybe, because her and Brahma were not in a good place, and that lady used to get at Brittany. So I wonder if Brittany brought this on the show. But I could definitely see Heather, because Heather has always had her good eye on Bronwyn. I could see her bringing this up. Whitney's not loyal to anybody, so I could see her bringing this up. Maybe Lisa, but I don't ever remember Lisa bringing blog stuff to the show like that. I don't. She probably has, but I don't. Not something this big. But dang, girl, Bronwyn, you only been here for 2 seasons, and now your second season is them asking you, what is up in Salt Lake City? They had Jen Shaw, fraud, Monica out here doing identity theft, posing as fake accounts and harassing the ladies. And now we got Bronwyn. Girl, it's something in the water in Salt Lake City, girl. But that's all I got for y'all today. As always, remember to be bravely authentic. Definitely hop down in them comments below. Share your thoughts with me. Like the video and subscribe. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.